Hello and welcome to another session of Shine Like a North Star. If you don't know me yet, my name is Carrie Burchell and I am the owner of North Star Coaching. Although I do have this super cool thing I did in the last week or so. I bought the, the domain to my name, carrieburchell.com. So I feel super famous. So whether you remember me by North Star Coaching as the president or carrieburchell.com, I would love to connect with you. Thanks for joining our live tonight. I'd love to see some comments flying around from you. Anybody give me a scale of 1 to 5 on how crazy your day is. I know talking with leaders today and coaching leaders, they're just really talking about that spin that we're caught in and certainly some just drudgery of COVID lasting so long. So I'd love to know where you're at in your day today. 5 is awesome. 1 is just the weight of everything wearing on you. I am excited to talk today about when being too kind can seem manipulative. This is one of those catch-22s that really being kind obviously comes from a good place and as a leader can be a bit of a trap for us. So let's dive into some lessons learned and some tips and tricks for you because this work together is all about slowing down and helping you shine like a North Star, right? Okay, so when can being nice appear manipulative? So here's a story from my past. I'm just making sure that I can see everybody's comments up here. Great. So let's really dive into this idea of when being nice is just too much. So I remember when I was my first assistant principalship, I have an education background before I went into healthcare and now the entrepreneurial spirit of consulting and coaching. But I would really try hard to get my staff to love on me. I remember that I would, bring people coffee, I would bring in donuts, and people just wondered if I was buying their friendship. And well, maybe not buying their friendship, but to a certain degree, buying some of their respect or trying to do nice things so that they would like me and work well with me to get this, school just rocking. So I think back to those days. There was somebody named Susan, and I'm making up that name, but she had a hard time with me. And in retrospect, part of it was just my niceness was just suffocating. I remember we had a staff room and there were 2 doors in the staff room. I would literally come in one door and Susan would go out the other door. It was like revolving door, Waldorf Hotel sort of revolving door. And one day she was zoned out waiting for her toes to pop. She must have been on a break teaching. And I walked in and she didn't hear me. She was just so in the zone. And I said, "Hey, Susan. Hey, it feels like you've been avoiding me. I'm worried about you avoiding me." "Yeah, I have been." And she's, fiddling with the toast and I'm sure thinking in her head, "Can I just run away from Carrie right now?" Now, part of that is because I didn't have the hard conversations with her, hoping that we would just smooth over her performance or our relationship by more nice things. Part of it was I just really wanted her to, "Hey, Carol, great to see you." Part of it was just me coming across in sort of fake ways, like bringing in coffee. I hate coffee. Bringing in donuts. I don't really eat donuts. Doing all this like gifting stuff where people, they didn't ask for it. It didn't feel natural and it wasn't part of the rhythm that we had with people. So really recognize when you're being nice, and of course people are always going to say nice things when you bring in donuts or coffee or whatever. What you want to do is see if you're pacing with people around you. So if you've done gestures a couple times in a row and no one's reciprocated, and it doesn't mean that they have to bring in donuts, but maybe they break out a new pad of paper for you in the photocopier, or maybe they write a note on your desk, or there's other ways that people can gesture. It doesn't have to be through monetary spending. But if you're not in sync with other people and it's not a community of giving, then it can seem like you're giving for an agenda. So my analogy lately has been double Dutch skipping to kind of get you into this. So you know how double Dutch skipping takes 2 people on either end of the rope, right? And if you're ever gonna double Dutch, you kind of see people doing this and then they run in and they start skipping and it's the whole community and collaboration, right? So my analogy is double Dutch skipping, because you need to be in rhythm with other people in order to skip effectively. How's that for a goofy metaphor? So with Susan, I was too nice. And I can see in retrospect that depending upon the kind of gift that I brought, maybe Susan hated coffee. She didn't like tea. Maybe I only brought in coffee though. Like, it seems then like I have a bias towards people that love coffee, right? So what does that perception of favoritism look like? That can bite you in the butt too, and look like you're trying to really solidify a group in your back corner instead of this even playing field. So some things to think about when we think about, is my kindness being perceived as manipulation, is really to think through what's driving your motivation. So Carol's saying it makes sense that you try, but if not the right thing at the right time, to start somewhere else where you get to know them. Absolutely, right? And that was it for me, Carol, when I left that school. It was a totally different experience in the new school, because I learned to just pull back, right? Find the rhythm with the new school. And when I left, I mean, there were gifts and praise and love, and it was a totally different experience, because I wasn't desperately trying to sort of win over their friendship by being too kind. And that's where it fell into that manipulation. So look at what your motivations might be for doing that kind of stuff, right? So I remember in a different school, everybody pitched in money to celebrate whatever the holiday was. And it was a holiday I didn't really care a lot about. And my sort of thing is like, I'm going to give people because I love them, not because it's their birthday or their, I don't know, whatever my narrow-minded thing was. And I stepped out of that rhythm that group had, right? So there's sometimes when you need to fall into the rhythm, excuse me, of other people's kindness to stay in the skipping rope with them. I had this coughing fit right before I started. Hang on. So being kind is both you offering and you getting in the rhythm of whatever the structure and cultural norms are for that circumstance. And behind that, realize what your triggers are. So in that second example, right, when I didn't want to give my $20 into some generic birthday pool or something, I mean, I celebrate birthdays. I just didn't want to celebrate them that way. And I realized that by me going off and buying different gifts or I thought of you stuff for people intermittently throughout the year, that made me look like I was trying to be nice and maybe manipulative, right? So there's this like irony that happens where it comes from a good place and may not be helpful in serving you well. So for me, early on in my career, it was definitely about trying to show people that I'm a nice person, and if you're a nice person, maybe you're gonna like work with me and we can collaborate and do amazing things, and love going to work, right? Doing that kind of stuff. As I have become more seasoned, it's not about that stuff at all. So do some reflection on your own, see where those things are showing up for you, how you see your leaders that report to you showing up, and really getting at is my sort of gesture of being kind, my intimacy of gesturing, matching other people's around me? Am I double Dutch skipping in the right way? Yeah, so that's our nugget for today. I would love you to join. I've got a couple of private communication groups going on. So if this is the kind of thing you like bantering about with other people, there's some perks of joining the groups. They're free. We do a newsletter. We have some posts kind of driving a series of tips. So if you're interested in that, message me or send me a message on YouTube or whatever works for you. I'm glad Sherry, makes sense. That's awesome. And then also I have a newsletter that I did for this first leadership communication tip number 1, which is getting people talking first. And it summarizes what the group's contributions were. I really believe the answers in the room. So the newsletter captures the group's thinking and also adds a little dose of Carrie on top of that. So yeah, awesome, Carol. I'm glad that the rhythm analogy made sense for you. Sometimes, people tease me that I have just metaphors out the wazoo, and some of them are out there. I kind of giggle in coaching sessions where people are like, try again. Like, that didn't land well. So I appreciate the feedback, Carol. So follow me on YouTube. I'd love to see your face up here. Please message me if you want the newsletter or if you want to join either the LinkedIn or Facebook private group where we can really dive into this stuff. Until then, be safe, everybody. Thank you.